How?
Okay.
Yeah, should I share from here? Do you think she won't be able to change the slides? So, this is a hybrid meeting, folks. And I'm not in my own house. I'm not using my own laptop. Therefore, a little bit of confusion, but not a lot. So, as I was saying, Arundhati Roy is such an icon. Everyone who reads Indian writing in English knows of her. Born 1961. I think that kind of makes her younger than many of us.
I just let you know. Oh, we can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
No, we can hear you. We can hear
I
you.
can hear you.
We can hear you, Mohini.
We can't hear you.
Then you better go out of the room and go to the other room.
No, I think because of the mic,
Yeah.
they can hear, but you guys can't. Well,
We can all hear you, Mohini.
Well, that's good to know. Now here you are. These are the three books that she is really known for, right? The God of Small Things came in 1997, and she won the Man Book. Then in 2017 came The Mystery of Utmost Happiness. That's a long gap, if you notice. And I think most of us, I at least, had given up on her, thinking, people were after her and they were asking her, when is your next novel coming out? And she would say, when I have a novel in me to write. It seemed very fair. But knowing how other writers seem to regularly produce something, it seemed kind of strange. And I thought, okay, she's going to be a one book wonder, like Harper Lee, someone like that. But then finally, the Ministry of Utmost Happiness came. Of course, in the interim, she was writing essays on a political note. She had become a bit of an activist, right? There's that famous picture of her with Medha Patkar at the, the Narmada River thing. Medha Patkar is smiling, so happy to have the celebrity with her. Okay. Anyway, that novel, I don't know what you thought of it. I hope you liked it. I didn't at all. I thought it was so forced, so plastic. Like she was also feeling that stick. Come on, produce. I believe that she got a huge advance for the first book. And I wonder, as a sight unseen, the woman has not been published yet. How come the publisher has so much confidence in her? But well, I think she showed that she was worth it. What a novel that is. It's one of my favorites of all time. Like To Kill a Mockingbird, it has that same innocence, that freshness. Now, here, she's won lots of awards. I listed most of them. So she won the Booker for this. But before that, before The God of Small Things ever came out, she had won the National Award, no less, for the best screenplay for the film in which Annie gives it books. Delightful film, delightful. Have you all seen it, by the way?
Yeah.
You've all seen it.
I've recorded it and sent it to you.
I know, yes. My goodness, how we laughed. Now, that is a quality that her writing has as well. It's so genuine, so authentic from the heart, emotional, lyrical, fabulous. And that movie is hilarious. Those of us who have lived in Delhi relate to it. The campus types, the campus types. Nobody is smiling and saying yes. But I do know that those campus types, the strategies that people used to use to get the questions out of the teacher, it's all there. The lafangas, the roadside Romeos, the red alert that all girls have to be. Like when they're out. Now they got small things.
Next slide.
They got small things who won the Booker very, very deservedly. Now there are a lot of books which I feel didn't deserve it, but got it. Like that Shuggy Bain or something. What is that? About Glasgow. I don't think that deserved it. Then recently, the book of other languages, some Kannada thing. What is it? I forget the name, but we did it, huh? Yeah. So
The
bad.
Heartland. The Heartland.
Oh, Heartland was it?
Heartland.
Thank
Yeah.
Heartland. Thank you. So I thought it was so ordinary, and the translation was, when I criticized it on screen that time, I couldn't think of an example. But somehow now an example pops into my head. The cunningness of the man. Cunningness? Oh, come on. The cunning, right? Bad translator. As well as very ordinary writing. They got small things, fresh, authentic, touching. Now, I think the reason why the memoir also I would give very high marks to. Maybe not 9 on 10 like I give for the God of Small Things, but 8, I think, because of the language, the style, the evocative, the, the emotional, the lyrical quality of the writing, the creation of the twins. Oh my God, how cute can kids be? And yes, do you remember that? And why, yes. Did you do such and such? They want to say no, but the answer is actually yes. Right? Yes. Oh, so cute. Then they're told, they're like two little frogs lolloping around. And I just love. Then the seriousness of it, the laws of love, who you can love, when, and for how long. The theme of transgression, caste consciousness, the political scenario, and that world of the novel, the backwaters of Kerala. Now, she has been accused of creating a world designed as exotica for foreign readers. I don't know, I just thought it was beautiful. Yeah, lots of charming details. I love that Margaret Pochamma wore a dress with blue flowers with legs beneath. So sweet. I mean, these kids are not used to legs being seen. The Blue Plymouth, the cinema, visits, going to the toilet, and not placing your ass on the seat because you're too dirty. I think these are all things that we know. So, in which Annie gives it those ones actually was before. It's hilarious. Now, I said all what? Natural acting, highly relatable, picture of the times in Delhi, the roadside room, words and terms that we used. Then I love in Tokyo. What's the little thing that you put on your hair? The two bobbles? It was called Love in Tokyo. Now, I deliberately chose this picture on the left of Arundhati Roy as a student in the School of Architecture, gone for her exam, wearing a hat, a sari, and a hat. And Roshan said, I think it is, who's the professor, says, what is this? What are you wearing a hat for? And she says, just try to stand out. And that's what she loves. She loves to stand out, right?
Yeah.
She is a bitter attention seeker. She loves to shock. She likes sensationalism. Next, please. Yeah, she acted in Macy's. That was actually the first achievement. Now, this book is a memoir. So what genre? It's a memoir. It's not a novel. It's not an autobiography. Autobiography is supposed to be more or less of an entire life, whereas this is only a part, a few years, or one aspect, and so on. It's a period, an aspect, fact, but it is fact, not fiction. Again, it's written in the same style. The lyrical, poetic, emotional, very personal, very intimate. And remember, now that it's a memoir and not a novel, it is the truth. For me, initially, the value of the book was that I could check it against the God of Small Things. And a lot of things then which I wondered about, I thought, now I will know what the truth was. Because even then, it was clear that the book was very heavily autobiographical. No one can write like that, surely, unless they have lived that life, unless they've been there, they've known it. That's when that intensity of perception comes. So I was like checking, okay, let's see. This is what the God of Small Things said about her mother. And now what is her mother really like? This memoir aspect focuses on the mother-daughter relationship. Now, Amu in God of Small Things and Mary Roy here are two incredibly different people. Not at all the same, right? Mary Roy is very authoritative. Stern, she's a teacher, and she's, I guess, a bit of a pedant or a pedagogy and all that. But she's very stiff, and she believes in this distant and stern conduct with her students. And she feels that maybe her own two children are also in the school. Initially, two of them and 10 others, and that's it. Other students would feel that they were being slighted. If these two got to call her Mama. So she insisted they call her Mrs. Raw, like everybody else. Now, Arundhati Roy's text is like, well, imagine a mother making you call her Mrs. Roy. But look at it in the context, for God's sake. It makes sense. Now she's not only narrating, but the whole exercise of the book, I think, is an attempt to try to understand, to look back and try to understand the relationship. Can I have the book? There it is. Alka, if you could. Thank you very much. I think I have this somewhere. Forget. I don't know how to show it.
Want to show it?
Yes. No, it's okay. It comes late. What I wanted to show was the photograph inside, but that will come. We can show it. No, it's okay. Let's go to the next, please.
Good. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Now, here's a mother and daughter picture. Very sweet picture, very together. This is the exploration of an unusually troubled mother-daughter relation, right? Now, there are mother-daughter stories like the Joy Luck Club, something like that, which is all about, ultimately, that's the relationship. But this was not like that. She has such negative memories. And what are the memories, by the way? This is, I would say, an attempt at an honest appraisal of the damage done to her herself and her growth and the growth of her identity. Identity is the sum total of your experiences. So, of course, mother comes into a great deal. Now, why has she said that she is a gangster? I mean, how can you associate the word mother with gangster? How can you? Well, in this case, apparently she feels she can. Because a gangster has no feeling for you, right? He can be violent, he takes what he wants, he behaves as he wants, he doesn't care. And according to Arundhati, that's how her mother was. Couple of examples, if I can give you. The words, the words that are hurled at Arundhati. Whore, prostitute, bitch. Oh, the mind absolutely staggered. She says, "You're a millstone around my neck." That's the title of another chapter. Then she's asked to lay the table somewhere. She says, like, I didn't grow up like that, laying tables, differentiating between teacups and coffee cups. This kind of elite, genteel structure her life never had. So she put some cups there. And in public, her mother flays her, saying, "You don't even know the difference between teacups and coffee cups." Well, how would she if her mother never taught? That's what I felt the injustice. Now, she goes to visit her mother. And the book would imply that she used to go often, regularly. As soon as she heard that she's unwell, off went Arundhati to see. Once, there was a woman to fetch her from the station. Kind of unusual. So, oh, why the Amalia? What's happened? Running tears streaming down her cheeks. She says, it's only because she loves you that. Arundhati, okay. What has she said? What did she say? She has said she doesn't want to see her. She does not want to set eyes on her door. So don't let her come here. And she's already come, right? And Amal that I don't know if it's because her mother-in-law, because your mother loves you, she doesn't want to see you, makes no sense. But that the daughter loves her and therefore has come to see her makes excellent sense. Okay. So Amal says, "Come, I'll let you see her, but she mustn't see you. We're going to hide you in one of the rooms." What the heck? So this is the game. Now, if Arundhati was going to get very, very angry, as I think she had every right to be, she might have turned around and gone back. But does she? No, she doesn't. She comes, she hides, she's there. And so she wants to see why her mother is behaving in such a harsh way. And she sees, you see, Mary Roy is very overweight. You can see the very overweight. Okay. And the doctors were treating her for whatever ailment, plus her obesity, for 10 days. Now, every doctor does what he thinks is right. So we can't quarrel with this one who we haven't even heard to see. 10 days she had been given nothing but nimbu pani. She was starving. You can imagine. This reminds me of Nadia Comaneci, the Olympic gymnast who was putting on weight and was allowed to eat nothing but popcorn and lettuce. And at night, she used to go and raid the fridge. This poor woman couldn't even do that because there were attendants. She had gone crazed. I think that's good understanding. Her mother was a very gruff personality. She could not thank people. She could not show affection. It was very hard for her. That's the kind of person she was. She was a, I find this very hard to say, typical teacher type, you know, but teachers are not like that anymore. Okay, next. So what was Mary Roy? She was strong, independent, intelligent, rebellious, unconventional, unafraid. I think this description equally applies to Arundhati. I think it does. You can call Arundhati exactly this. But Mary Roy challenged the community laws of inheritance applicable to women of the Syrian Christian community. They apparently could not inherit any family property. She challenged this, took the case all the way to the Supreme Court and won. So she's not a character who only exists in the book. She exists in the real world, and I consider her quite a heroine. For carrying that battle, sustaining it was only years until she won and changed things. Now, the school that she started in the village near Kottayam, in this IMNM, flourished. People were very proud of the school, it was doing very well. But because it did not go all the way to high secondary, therefore these children had to go to another school later. Which that school was, she never says. But I think it is Rishi Valley. Huh? Anyone knows?
Again?
Rishi Valley?
No, not necessarily.
No. Which
There's
school?
no mention of that.
No, there's no mention. That's what I said. It's not mentioned which. But I know that Sas Agarwal.
I've
And
heard
she-
great things about Rishi Valley School. A couple of friends went there. So
Yes. But I think I'm saying because someone who is a member of the book club, Sas has written that she and Arundhati were in the same class and that she got better marks at English than Arundhati. I remember that. And I think Sas went to Rishi Valley. Anyway, whatever. Now, what did Mary Roy do? In the God of Small Things, we see her marrying outside the community. Marriages are supposed to be arranged by parents within the community. This one was not arranged by parents, which is very, very bad, of course. She happened to go to a wedding, she happened to meet this guy, and she said she would marry him, a Bengali, and married him and went away. That was her escape from the narrow, suffocating society that she grew up in. Now, however, the marriage didn't last because the man was an alcoholic. So 3 years later, she returned, divorced, returned with kids, with the kids. And she was persona non grata, not wanted. She did not have anything, no property, no money. Now, the family had a little holiday home, which was in Tamil Nadu, not Kerala. And she took the kids there, opened up the house, and lived. But her family found out, and they came, and they tried to oust her. I mean, her brother, and I find this so hard to accept. Your own mother and your brother, when they know that you have nothing, instead of wanting to protect and take care of you, they want to shunt you out of a space that they are not even using. I think it's very cruel.
See,
So-
very one-sided marriage.
Huh?
Arundhati's narrative of another seems like a very one-sided.
It is bound to be. Bound to be. But you can imagine the other side if you like. So gangster, my shelter and my storm.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A mother is the ultimate shelter of a child. I remember when I was when Sona was 5 years old, my daughter, by the way, was 5, and I was doing my MPhil. I used to leave the house at 7:30 a.m. and return at 7:30 p.m. And she was 5. And I was tired as all hell when I returned. And one day, hardly had I opened the door and just clinging to me and not letting me even enter. So I sort of was mean and I yelled at her. And she started crying. And I thought, oh dear. So she came to me. Who else would you go to? So I stormed at her, but she came to me for shelter. Ah, who loved me enough. Now that is in the God of Small Things. Who loved me enough to let me go. But in this book, she says that she and her brother laughed about this lie that they concocted. It seemed nice to say about a mother. And so she said it was not the truth. Okay, so now Arundhati Roy, at the age of 16, decides to be an architect. And why? How come? Maybe because her mother's school, was a sort of a folding school. In a building and in a space which is used by the Rotary Club. When the meetings were, they kind of, put the desks and blah, blah, and it became a school. By evening, they folded that way. Now she got land. With the income that came from the school, adding money, and she started buying land, and now a school was to be built. The architect chosen was, guess who? Kerala in those days? Laurie Baker. You all heard of Laurie Baker, right? Laurie Baker was American, probably, and he used natural materials, local materials, and he had the jolly thing, he didn't need fans, a very smart guy. I had known about him. So she used to go with her mother to talk to him, and she was fascinated by him as an architect. Also, she was fascinated by a young man who was assisting him. And when she sees him, her thought is, oh my gosh, he looks like Jesus Christ. So throughout you go, JC. JC. And one day they're in the car and they're going. There's Mary Roy, Laurie Baker, Arundhati, and JC. Then Laurie Baker and JC get off wherever they have to. And her mother, Arundhati Roy, is frozen with shyness. Because for the first time in her life, she's met a guy and aroused her and interested her. And she's like thrilled about it. Her mother turns to her and says, "You fool! He must have thought you were a fool." But why? I didn't say anything. Exactly. Could you not find one thing to say? You're a fool. Get out. And she actually stops the car, opens her in the middle of nowhere. She's so shocked, she doesn't know what to do, and she gets out. And Mary Roy drives away. Can you imagine? Can you imagine your parents ever doing this to you? God. I think 4 hours later, or maybe 5 hours later, she comes back and picks her up and goes, "But look at the fright, 15-year-old girl, for God's sake." Okay. She decides she wants to be an architect, goes to Delhi, does the entrance test, and gets in. And so she joins the Delhi School of Planning and Architecture. Next, please. Now, she says that she ran away from home when she was 18. Not really. It's just that she stopped going back home. I mean, from Delhi vacations, she would go home, but now she stopped. For 7 years, she didn't go home. And for those 7 years, her mother never inquired. Now, it's not that she says she was so caring, but she mentions the number of times that she had to go running because her mother wasn't well. So it's a very emotionally intense description of the conflict of mother and daughter. Now, there's a brother also. Those of you who have read God of Small Things will remember that Rahel and Esther were twins. In actuality, he is a year and a half older. They're not twins. So she felt very strongly that he was treated very badly because she was bright. She had a wonderful report card, brilliant, and all that. He comes home with a report card saying, average student. Apparently, at night, when they're asleep, Mary Roy comes in, plucks the child out of bed, takes him to the next room, and starts beating him. And she can hear it. And she says that till this day, whenever someone appreciates her, she feels there must be someone else being beaten. It's a very uncomfortable feeling. And she has the feeling that it's not fair, she doesn't deserve it. A kind of injustice which disturbs her very deeply. Next, please. Yeah. So Mary Roy died in 2022, and this book was started afterwards. I would say both are strong women, defiant, rebellious, unconventional, transgressive, and fighters. Describes them both. Next, please. Cover. Did anyone have any thoughts about the cover? In fact, before I even opened the book, I have made a mess of this. But you know, it's bright red. Yeah. First thought was, why is it only a half thing, this jacket? Why isn't it entire like usually? Well, it's different. And you know, she liked to be different. She liked to stand out. It's bright red. Could not be brighter red than this. And there too, she likes to stand out. What is this? What is this? This moth. Shall I leave that to talk about later, or shall I just leave it till talk about then? At the back, she writes, in these pages, my mother, my gangster, shall live. She was my shelter and my strength. So those famous words, those famous lines are. Next. Oh, sorry. Yeah. A very young Arun. For you to see as a child, right? Who's talking about a mother. Very young. But smoking. Young girls did not smoke. Not a good thing. But she's smoking. And not a cigarette, it's a beady. You know? Is that in your face kind of defiance and rebellion. But there is also an innocence, for sure. Look at Look at that skin. I mean, it was some irreverence in the title. I think I'm going to finish with that moth. Sunita won't have time enough. The moth. In the book, she says, it's as if on a cold surface, her heart becomes cold with fear. And there's this furry moth. It's very scary. So the moth is hidden under the jacket, but it's there. And okay. The title, for God's sake. Next, please. The title. Mother Mary comes to. I'm very excited about what? Because Mother Mary to me implies Virgin Mary. What the heck has she got to do with this? Mother Mary comes to me? What? Mother Mary? Madonna? Is this irreverence? Is she mocking? Because Mary Roy was hardly the kind, sweet, forgiving thought that you would associate the Madonna with. Her mother is remembered by her in the book. Is this an attempt at reconciliation, understanding, making sense of past experience? The facts certainly clear some doubts about the authenticity of the autobiographical elements in Goddessville. Right? Oh, I forgot, Sunita. I wanted to ask you, let's play that song after we finish. Okay. Let it be, Chaitanya. Let it be. Because the line comes. Next, please. Okay, here's the song. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. Now, let it
be, let it be.
Let it be not something that either of these two would ever say. Next, please. Oh my gosh. This photo is in the book. Now, Arundhati Roy is obviously looking back and remembering her childhood, her mother, her brother, and her. Now, just below that, folks, if you have your book with you, just have a look. The same picture, but paler. Okay. Now, even the top one is quite faint. It's an old photo, gone blurred. The one below, well, what is this? Memory. Memory is not sharp, right? Incidents, experience, happenings blur with time. And, in this age of modernism, the narrator is not a very trustworthy person. As some Beam said, in her opinion, not the objective, absolute truth, you can never have that.
When you look at the black and white picture, can you accept Arundhati Roy's narrative about her mother? Look at how lovely she is. And I cannot believe that a mother can be so cruel. And the mother has not written the book. Maybe she would have been able to do
That goes without saying, okay? But memory. And of course, it's written from memory, isn't it?
It's a memoir.
Yeah, but she's talking about things that happened many years. How correct is her vision, her memory, her analysis? Next, please. These are some, what people have said about it. Okay, next. Now, I did not have time to prettify the blessed PPT. They're just wide and. But if you talk about Arundhati Roy's style, it's a pity to write it so blandly. It's so beautiful. It has all the colors of the rainbow need to come. Deep, emotional, heartfelt. I mean, lyrical is a word that every critic uses. Intimate, personal, emotional. Why will we? I'm saying we, but I shouldn't maybe. When I read The God of Small Things, not only did I fall in love with her, but I believed that it was autobiography. This is her story. It has to be because it is told with such intensity. Someone who hasn't experienced these things could not write like this. But now we know it's highly fictionalized. I mean, there are some biographical elements, that's all. I felt, my God, look at the things that she has done. Egad, she never did it. Her mother, Mary Roy, has not an iota of criticism about her sexual morality. Not at all. No man in her life. And look at Amu, all about the relationship with Veluta, right? Next, please. We're coming to the end, Sunita. Autobiography and fiction. So this is what we talk. Now, I said, Ghost seems so real. We took it as autobiography, but it isn't. It is so fictionalized. So what we can say is there are strong influences of real people that she has known and interacted with, and these influenced her characterization of the people in the book. Amu failed in everything. She died at 30, a viable, diable age, if you remember. In a hotel room, coffee with her asthma, yes, she did it. Her brother, LKC, is called LKC, Lalit Kumar Chako, apparently suffered more, but he grew up fine. Not all that business about being returned to her father and doing jhadu pocha at home and never speaking ever again. All that is fiction. I felt it. I felt it so much. I'm so happy to know that it didn't. It's only fiction. He forges a relationship with the father, Arundhati meets him, etc. Arundhati was first married to Jesus, JC, and then Pradeep Christian. Next, please. And I think that's it. Yeah. The anger is there, the isolation, but no sexual morality issues. Conflict, yes. Rejection, yes. Female anger because of the unequal treatment that women get. Okay, anything else? Is that the last? That's the last. I thought I'd leave that there for a moment while you come, Sunita. Sunita is going to talk about the activist, the political commentator, thinker that she was.
Okay, right. So, thank you very much. I won't take too long. I'll just touch upon her activism and then we can open it out for discussion because I think discussing her and her ideas and her books are far more interesting. So you can sit here.
I continue to see.
So, so as you can see in the book and taking off from the book, she tries very hard in the book. She rebels, of course. She leaves home. She doesn't want to be like her mother. She's, you know, the whole book is about her mother. But towards the end, and if you see how Arundhati's life is gone, it's very similar to her mother. She's defiant. She fights for the rights of what is, you know, of the marginalized. You can see that her mother, through the story, like Mohini mentioned, you know, had a very difficult life. She was not a woman who had too many means. They were not very privileged. They led a very, very difficult life. but she eventually started that school, and she then went on and went right up to the Supreme Court to fight for the inheritance rights for the Syrian Christians. And it was, needless to say, it wasn't easy. The church came after her. People in Kerala were not very, very happy, saying, you know, what are you doing to our culture, things like that. But she stood her ground and she fought for that. And Arundhati, in many ways, has done exactly the same thing, you know, in fighting for rights. So after the God of Small Things, of course, you know, till then, Arundhati Roy was really living in absolute poverty. They were struggling to make ends meet, even with, you know, with her husband. Her husband was not earning too much. She was not earning too much. But once the book became extremely popular and, you know, eventually won the Booker, she became, of course, this literary celebrity. She came into lots and lots of money. And she actually, you know, while she settled everything, got, you know, everybody got a house, you know, took care of this, took care of that, made sure that they got out of the hole that they were in, the rest of the money was actually donated to activism. And it started, she really moved from, and that's the shift that happens just after the God of Small Things, when she moves from storytelling to her political activism that is there. And she becomes really the champion and the voice for the marginalized. All her money, then she moves towards helping any kind of activism that she's doing. So a lot of her own money that she puts into it. It starts with the Narmada movement. She was a huge voice in when the Andolan happened. She was there. She wrote a wonderful piece called The Greater Common Good. And you will find that, yeah, you will find that all over the internet. And of course, because of her popularity globally, she, you know, the voice got amplified. So it was The Guardian, the Al Jazeera, you'll find all of them carrying that article and speaking about it. And that sort of became very, very, and her central idea, as they say, is that development is not just about building dams, it's about deciding whose lives matter. So she was very, very big on that. After that, she then moved on to the other big thing that she was in the news for, was her position on Kashmir. And she was very, very vocal about it. She consistently argued, she argues till today, that Kashmiris should decide what they want for Kashmir. Yeah. So she said that Kashmir is not simply an internal law and order issue. It's a political conflict that's rooted in history and identity, and the voice of the ordinary Kashmiris are being suppressed and ignored. So she, you know, they should have a right to decide their own future, and that, of course, that position put her at odds with the political you know, scenario that was there. There was a lot of public backlash. In 2010, she spoke at a public event in Delhi where she said, Kashmir has never been an integral part of India. So you can imagine the mayhem that followed after that. So there was wide-led criticism. She was called anti-national, which is a word that is thrown around very freely today, but she was among the first, I think, to get that you know, being thrown at her, calls for sedition. She was, you know, in troubles at that time, and she was really one of the most polarizing voices for Kashmir that was there. She wrote multiple essays, once again, on Kashmir. There were two that were there, one that she co-authored, Kashmir, The Case for Freedom, and she wrote essays such as Azadi, the Only Thing the Kashmiris Want. So two very, very nice articles after that. And even after Article 370, when the Indian government revoked Article 370, she strongly criticized what they did. She described it as unilateral. She described it as undemocratic, something that she, you know, words that she has used even for when the Narmada Dolan was happening. Let me quickly end by saying that there was a moral voice. So she, you know, always spoke about justice for, you know, for the marginalized, for the underdog that was there. She always questioned, so she was the dissenter. She was the voice of dissent. We may not always agree with her, but if we want to believe that this is a democracy, then This is the voice. Yes, she has a voice, and her statements, and she was often called the lightning rod because her statements really attracted, and it actually forces people to take a position. She sort of got people to think about that. Let me end by saying that the third thing that in her activism that needs to be spoken about was she actually spent a day in Tihar. She in contempt of court in the Narmada Andolan, and she says her day in Tihar was the day that she learned the most. The greatest experiences. And of course, she came out of Tihar a hero. There were thousands of people there to welcome her from the Narmada Andolan. Every newspaper around the globe wrote about her, her standing for these kind of things. So it became, and she continues till today. I'll leave this for the discussion, but till today she is the voice that of dissent. She is, she is very, very vocal about the government, its policies,
Caste.
and caste, religion, all those kind of things that are there. So I will end here, and we can open it up for discussion. I remember reading a line in one of the articles that was there, and I'll end with that. Is two things that they talk about is that she speaks the truth that others avoid, and she centers human rights and democratic values. But there's a very nice line that I want to quote, which says, Arundhati Roy does not just ask us to read her story, she asks us to examine our own courage to speak. So in terms of activism, that's it. All right.
Great.
Open for discussion.
But why did she stop?
Of course.
Why did she stop?
So can I request everybody to unmute and then we can start the discussion. So
Oh, she has. She was not taking part in that. She made a lot of noise. She was forced to stop.
Currently,
These times it gets very possible.
Currently, she is less vociferous on the current engagement.
But she's still speaking, she's speaking against the position we have taken, because she basically draws a comparison between Kashmir and India and Gaza and Palestine and Israel. And she says it's very similar. And current Hinduism is also very similar to Zionism. I was listening to certain interviews reading her, so she's still vocal, but maybe the issues are a little more not centered in India so much, so maybe we don't see it.
But can you reflect on the fact, why did she write this? I'm still wondering why she wrote a biography and
I have a see, this is not a biography, this is a memoir, I think.
Yeah.
And even a memoir, when a person is writing about themselves, it is
I
subjective.
want to speak.
We have
I've unmuted it.
Anil.
Okay, so anyway, it is always subjective. It is her view, her perspective, and we have to questioning the veracity. Because what she has gone through, her view is her view. Right? And you can't change it. Maybe if we had been in her place, it might have been different, may not have been different. We don't know. So we respect that, and that's what it is.
But I'd like to say, Latika, is there, why did she write it?
I said, why did she write it? Because, let me tell you. You see how she had a love-hate relationship with her mother? Because mother is a mother. Right. It was also very tough, and I totally find her believable. This whole business of being very tough on her own kids and being angry and being all that, because as a personality, she may not have been very balanced. And there are many, many parents like that. We are lucky that we didn't have parents like that, but I have heard, and I have seen some parents who are extremely tough on their children.
Yes,
They don't mind me, and they think they're actually doing it.
I know, spare the rod and spoil
The Robin Scott. And this is old school.
Very old.
She's very old school. And you see, people who normally can't control their anger, they initially resort to violence. So therefore they beat. Who has the time to think of the psychological and ye bolo, wo bolo as a age group? It doesn't work. And you find this also amongst a lot of the more uneducated and unilluminated class. They resort to violence straight
Yes,
away.
you're saying
Right.
that, yes, so
So now, after she died, she had to come to terms
absolutely.
with her grief,
Effort.
and she had to come to terms with all that she's been through, her own anger,
Correct.
right?
No, if she says she loves her mother so much,
It was a
she
love date.
did not have written such a caustic comment.
This is like a catharsis. You're talking it and it's clarifying it.
You are in always catharsis by criticizing your mother so openly. And what did you get out?
No, maybe she got closure. He got closure. You're being
Take some question.
just because she's your mother, why shouldn't she be criticized?
You know, by all means you criticize, but you're criticizing her in public view of millions of people.
She was just saying the truth, actually. All those episodes were very telling of her mother. She just put them out there that she was abandoned by the roadside for 2 hours. Who does that, you know? So, I mean, she just put forth her experiences, and a lot of judgment came from the reader, actually. You know, she was just putting across her life experiences, and it was for you to interpret them, whether they were normal, not normal, acceptable, not acceptable. So I thought, she was pretty fair in putting it out there.
I think
Can I?
she's
Yeah.
got.
I just wanted to add to that issue. She does mention that her grandfather was very abusive.
Yeah.
It's not unusual for people who've been brought up in abusive households to be abusive themselves. So for her mother to have, been such a harsh parent is not so difficult to understand, given that the father was extremely violent and abusive. And that I think, Mohini, you referred to that moth. That moth is related to the god of small things, isn't it? Her grandfather was an entomologist, and he was really bitter because he was not given a recognition for a moth species that he had discovered. I think that was there. And, this thing of the furry moth, it's kind of, it's a metaphor for dread and of something which is very unpleasant. But I think it seems to be tied up with that, the history of that family, the entomologist, her grandfather, and his violent temper.
Kaveri, that's a very good point, huh?
Yeah.
Link others' violence.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen it by the way, I've seen it in families where if the grandparent was violent, the parent is violent. Often. I've seen it in families. Yeah. But it's astounding that she survived that kind of a childhood and
Yeah.
But she's unscarred, you see.
Yes.
She's damaged. And I used to
also damaged. And that is why, I say, for a writer, writing is a way of bringing it all out and clarifying, expressing. And you're a writer. She's put it there for the public. That's her issue, not ours. So I wouldn't even comment on it. Why had she talked badly about her mother? I mean, yeah.
Because it was a fact.
It was her. And it's very difficult to come out with these things in public now.
Absolutely.
It's a brute honesty.
Yeah.
I would have taken it was a self-proclaim firstly.
Hindu, yes, good evening. I would like to say something. I'm reading the book and I've almost come to the end. And I admire this lady for her courage, for her fearlessness in every condition, and she chooses what she can do, that Narmada Dam, and she doesn't mind being caught up and by law, and she has her very clear ideas about what is right and what is wrong. That is what I was I've come to the end of the book, and I find that she is a very admirable character, and she doesn't bother about what people think or what. Yeah, that is what I think is something very relevant, and she is still like the God of Small Things was very popular, and it was beautiful, and this one is very tragic and powerful because it is very honest and it is her own life. And that is what I find very, very interesting. And she's very truthful. And
Thank you. After all, it is a memoir, right? This is
Yeah.
true. It's not
Yeah.
fiction. Yes, correct. Visby. Yes, Visby, would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, the point I wanted to make was that she waited for her mother to pass away, to die, before she published this. In a way, I feel that she didn't give her mother a chance to react. Why did she have to wait?
Calling it to account.
No, I don't think so. That's not correct.
I would say. Yes, Visby, go on. Conclude.
No, yeah, because I felt that the mother should have been given a chance also to react. Now we are getting her version, so to speak.
Can I say something? Can I say something? I think this protected her mother more than, had she come out, because she stated facts. She stated episodes that actually happened. So there was no denying that, her mother behaved the way that she did. It was not subject to any interpretation. And, when God of Small Things came out, her mother checked into a hospital because she thought she's going to be revealed in that book. So that itself is very telling that, she had skeletons in her cupboard, and a lot of people from her generation were abusive without knowing they were abusive. It was a very common experience for people. And because, it was only later on that, we started figuring out what was abusive, what was neglectful, but it was a way of parenting back then. It was very normalized. So, a lot of things, even when we 20 years down the line, we will also be embarrassed about certain things that we did, because a lot of things get normalized in society. It is only in retrospect that you understand what you did was actually not normal. Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
Well said,
Agree
well
so
said,
well.
well said.
Yes, others. Yes, Mukul.
Please, I thought there was somebody. No, I find the title very interesting. Mary
Yes.
comes to me. I thought, well, there are several meanings, but all that it's a revelation, it's this, that. But I just thought that I felt all along in the book that she would say, I go to Mother Mary. It was like this. I'm into
It's
it.
not
Now
a straightforward title.
it is
Like I said, there's irreverence. It's mocking. But Mother Mary, nevertheless. I think it's a. I found it objectionable initially.
I'm sorry.
I initially found the title objectionable.
Hmm.
Mother Mary, what the heck? And I mean, what? What are you dragging poor Virgin Mary into this?
Referring to.
Right? But no, but I think Mother Mary, and in the song, his mother. But it's the
Mother, I think
it's
It's
the mocker.
the video. Yeah, put it up.
Mother Mary.
Mother Mary is with her. Even now, that is the whole point, because she's affected her so badly, and in every which way, she cannot move a step without thinking of how her mother has affected her in some way or the other, and that is the person she
This
is.
is the
Good and bad.
identity.
Yeah,
Identity is forged by experience.
absolutely.
It cannot be undone.
Exactly. So that's
Part of
that's another interpretation of the title. Mother Mary comes to me shows the all-pervasive influence of her.
Come to me.
Even I read that.
Actually, I think it's a very clever marketing. It's
Yeah.
also very clever marketing.
That's typically, I think
Yeah.
it's typically her style. She likes to, the attention grabbing mechanism, whether for activism, whether for, selling her book.
Perhaps her editors had some contribution to that. It's a very it's a very catchy title. It's great marketing, putting in something like that, and it has several layers of meaning. So
Yes, Sheetal, yes.
I think it's also a reconciliation to her reality, and that's an inspiration. And in that sense, it's reconciling to your reality. I mean, that's a comforting thing, and that's like a godly feeling, or something like that, linked to Mary. It's an
Anna, you want to say something?
Ultimately, I think it means that she is part of her.
I didn't hear you.
She's part of her.
Lady from London. She wanted to say something and she was.
Which one?
Who? Anna wanted to say something. Yes, Anna.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, thanks so much, Sunita and Mohini. That was really an excellent presentation. Very different and very nice. About the title, Mother Mary Comes to Me, Paul McCartney, when he wrote it, of course about his own mother, but it was actually a sort of a revelation that came to him, a vision when the Beatles were breaking up and things were going bad for him. And then he felt this comfort from his own mother. And of course, the rest of the world took it as the Virgin Mary.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And she has gone I haven't read the book, so maybe Mohini can clarify here. I think she's taking it on the opposite end, whereas Paul McCartney got comfort from the vision of his mother. Maybe she is still trying to resolve issues of her life with her mother, kind of thing. When she remembers her mother, she has not come to a place of peace. I think. I don't know. Mohini should.
But I think it's very well said. Change the vision that I had.
Yes, Satish, go on.
No, go ahead.
No, Paul McCartney did it, wrote the lyrics at the time and Let It Be, and then he's coming to terms with his own mother.
The acceptance.
Yeah, so Let It Go. So when she's using that as a title, Mother Mary Comes to Me, she's finally realized after
She can now let it
now understand what the reality was, that throughout her being with the mother, she knew that the mother did not want her. She was to be aborted.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was.
Arundhati was to be aborted. The mother was unsuccessful, and the mother resisted the fact that the second child came along, and that is why the anger towards this child was always there.
Did you see?
Long time to recover from that. And she now says that she understands or she's trying to convey by the title itself, Mother Mary Comes to Me. That now she realized, and the love she shows towards the mother towards the end. And she said, my heart was beating very fast when the mother died, and all that sense feeling for the mother. Over a period of time, she perhaps came to terms as to why she was treated or like that, and why she was rebellious about the whole thing.
So I think the whole book is that exercise of coming to terms.
So,
But like you said, that they had planned to abort her. She didn't want a second child. Now, during the novel, Arundhati says that that story about leaving her, like Laurie Baker, and you're going in the middle of nowhere. And some words later coming, I'm in this terror. She tells her father that, her brother tells the father, and they all meet. And Arundhati narrates that incident. And he laughs because, you know what he says? Not for the first time. That they had done it earlier, they had abandoned her.
When she was 3 years old.
Yeah. And the kind of moral judgment her father was making on her as a 3-year-old, that was also pretty disturbing. So yeah. I mean, there were a couple of episodes where he says that, you used offensive language and you like the smell of men and stuff like that. So all of that was like, too judgmental for a toddler. So I mean,
No, such
like,
cruelty. I mean,
Such cruel.
that is what cruelty. I cannot imagine a
yeah.
parent.
Yeah.
Okay, a child is unwanted, but you don't
So
do this.
So the parents themselves are very damaged people. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
But this woman, divorced on her own, must have felt that the children were millstones around her.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes, she did call her a millstone around the neck.
Enough for that single woman to navigate life, but to have these two kids to manage as well. Oh gosh.
Must have resented
Then
them.
I can understand. There would be times when she would wish they didn't exist.
And this was so many years ago. I mean, okay.
Yeah,
But Mohini, ultimately the thing is how the wonder is that Arundhati had such a attachment to her mother. Despite all this, she says she's my shelter in the storm. That is the interesting thing, that despite the instances of abuse, which she remembers very well, she has such a strong connection with her mother.
there's a psychological thing which is called trauma bonding. So you are basically bonding with your tormentor, and the other is the Stockholm syndrome,
Yeah, I
where
know.
the hostages become sympathetic to the
But-
hijacker. So it is some kind of that's happening here is what I realize, and it's very difficult for children to give up on their parents. It's the hardest thing to do, I think. So I think she's also grappling with that. So I think that's what my take was.
Abuse, right? Is that? Yeah. Children obviously will have.
Let's move on from this. But I just remind you.
I think people nailed on the head.
Yeah.
First time I heard it coming from the thing, and I find that has been the correct thing, that's how that is completely here.
Stockholm syndrome is for wives more. Yeah.
Don't really call it, but the same thing.
Sanjay, Azra, yes, Sheetal?
Yeah, marvelous is a marvelous presentation which covers all sorts of psychological, literary, and political variations from the speakers. All I had to say was I agree with what everyone does say, and I was quite shocked when she bravely discusses her abortion without anesthesia. Maybe because with my medical background, I said, firstly, I'd be very ashamed to publish it so honestly, and then the pain she goes through, and she makes so little of it,
Yeah.
So, I mean, hats off to the woman, honestly. She also consoles herself by saying, I am today what I am because of my mother. My mother used to read to us, and because they were so neglected, she found her solace in reading books. And she gives credit to her mother for that. So it's a fabulous writing. I mean, the aspect she goes into, yes, it is autobiography and people have retrovision, but it does affect the child, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, thank you for that wonderful discussion. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your comment.
Different ideas the same came to my mind.
I think you had some.
I would
Yes,
say
there's,
that it's not Arundhati Roy I'm impressed by. I mean, impressed by the Mrs. Roy. It's more about her, that she chose to leave the husband when the kids were 1 year or 3 years old, that she moved back all the way from Assam to hometown, that she opened the door, she didn't have a place to live in, that she started the school, and also started the school, expanded it, and fought for the rights of the Syrian Christian women who did not have inheritance rights. And she went all the way to the Supreme Court. She managed the children. She was, in a way, very proud of Arundhati and encouraged her and said, go ahead and make your life.
Absolutely.
And so there are a lot of positives and great. And the fact that when she passed away, thousands of people or hundreds of people came for a funeral from across Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Reflects the fact and that her servants, her retainers took care of her out of sheer love. So that kind of a personality, perhaps, Arundhati is known for her writing and books, and she went global with the first book, and therefore she's recognized, and her comments are relevant because she's an international figure. But the mother was, I think, in many ways, a more accomplished person.
Had more substance.
Had more substance. Arundhati Roy wrote a fantastic book, and she got a screenplay award, national award before that in 1988. And she wrote a very good book. She got the global attention. So whatever she utters was global media picked up. This lady, the mother, through all the difficulties, was perhaps a more resilient, more.
That's how she's a
fantastic person.
So there are two people here. There are two people. Mary Roy as a mother, and Mary Roy as an educationist and a young divorcee in those times. So I think the former was, what came out in the novel as a mom. So as a mom, I thought, she had her failings. But of course, as a woman who divorced way back in 60s, it would be. And then went on and did all that she did and accomplished as much as she did. That is definitely a huge accomplishment. So,
That's the question. Praiseworthy. Yeah. For those who have read the book, I have not. I'm asking the question that having read this one, how is one affected? It's the story of a mother and daughter and their relationship. Complexity, and it can be expressed in a complex yet lyrical and so on style because it's Arundhati I was writing. It could happen in any family. Absolutely. Right?
Sure.
But we are discussing her because she's the writer and well-known writer. But how does it affect you as a reader? We are listening to a tale. Complexity, psychology and all that. How are you? What are you learning from it?
I'm learning.
Would you like to go first?
No, I just want to tell you all are all shocked about how this mother behaved like this. You guys don't know Malayali parents, okay? They're this is okay. This is you all had very good childhoods, okay? I don't know about you. I'm glad my mother and daughter listen to this. But to answer your I'm so Malayali, just tell you, we just take it to another level. Special lot. We're a special lot. But it's a great point that you make, Latika. I want to tell you that first of all, and I may be the minority in this room, and I probably am, minority in the world as well, that I was not impressed with her God of Small Things. Okay, yeah.
okay. Oh,
I think I need to go back and read the book. But
Yes.
Yeah, the God of Small Things. But I picked this book simply because we were discussing it, and I said, "Come on, I've got to give her a second chance because and I still want to go back to the God of Small Things." But I read this, and I want to tell you that yes, it's a story, like you said, Latika. I mean, I can write a story about my mom, and I think it'll be, it's a. She's got a journey that is, they have a journey that is so different. I was looking for something more in the writing, there are very few lines that nice. But coming from an Arundhati Roy, who's a Booker Prize winner, I want to tell you, I'm a little underwhelmed.
And so I frankly couldn't finish it. But I'm the biggest admirer of her language and style. It's so lucid, lyrical, she's fantastic. And therefore, I love reading her articles, even though I may not have agreed with them. but whatever she wrote beautifully. And she
Yeah.
got
Mhm.
across like that.
I agree.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. But God of Small Things, let me go.
Oh my God.
I mean, if you can so surgically analyze emotions and put them across in such good language, I mean, that's one of the biggest credits I give. I was very
Give solace to people who have gone through similar.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can.
Maybe.
Because you were not alone.
Sheena. And both of you are joined.
Cannot be silent.
Okay, first of all, I've just read about 30%. So that's not. But
Little louder. Can't hear you.
okay, I just read about 30% so far. Because I started a few days ago. And had it not been for today, I probably wouldn't have started it anyway. So, but the first thing that hit me when I opened the bubble wrap, as I told you, the smell of this book is gorgeous. You know, it smells so good. You want to eat it. The signed copy. I have a pre-order.
Yeah, so do I.
Bubble wrap by,
Clever.
and
Yours is specially perfumed.
so it's not perfume. It's not even pretty. It's just different. I wish I brought it. It's so good.
Yeah.
You know, this is one thing that you will say this wins over a Kindle copy because it's so good. Yeah, that's it.
Quick word to Payal. Payal?
Small things, love. Oh.
Yes. I wanted to. Ashra was saying something.
Yes, Payal, I just wanted to say I felt the same way about the book, The God of Small Things. I also didn't understand a lot of it. So after reading the memoir, I went and read it a second time.
I'm
And
going to do that now.
And then I really enjoyed it. So I understand you. Thank you.
Okay, Azra, I'm going to read God of Small Things now.
Okay. I started with
Yes, now.
So, my experience of reading the book is what the question was. The only reason while I'll ever read Arundhati Roy's For God of Small Things, I thought it was a beautifully written book. And when I read it, I was probably 20 years old. I didn't read that much, but when I read the book, it reconnected to me to the child that I used to be and how I would perceive adults and how whimsical and erratic they could be. So I thoroughly enjoyed the book. The style was so lyrical, and I was really curious about Arundhati Roy's personal life. Before that, I had an idea about her script writing and her books, her TV debut as an actress and all of that. But I really was curious about what made her write the way she did. What was her family background, what was her personal experience, what was her education, how did she come to be so familiar with words, because she was a trained architect. So her language, how did she develop the language that she developed? So I was very curious about all of that. So that is why I read the book. And I see her as two people, the author and the activist. While I give her, everybody, the freedom of speech is the topmost thing. I think it has to be preserved in our country at all costs, and people should be allowed to say uncomfortable things. But I don't understand her motivations behind her activism all the time. She does. I don't. And sometimes I feel probably she wants to avoid writing. That is why she's getting into activism. That is also, one of the thought that popped in my head. Like saying you have to study for exams, you want to do everything but study, and you go clean your room, you do this, that, and the other. So,
That's
that
something I'm
is
going to respond.
something
I want to respond directly to what you just now said about the activist part. In the book, she writes, right to act cost. A term I found absurd because it suggested that writing about things that vitally affected people's lives was not the remit of a writer.
Yeah.
She absolutely rejects the idea of being called a writer activist.
Yeah, I remember
that's
that
true.
part. Yes.
That is one point. And another thing is that she makes a general thing about it, made me realize how literature can join humans in a bond of quiet intimacy the way almost nothing else can. And as regards a relationship with a mother and between her and the mother,
Second one, put the second one.
Say that again.
I enjoyed that.
it made me realize how literature can join humans in a bond of quiet intimacy the way almost nothing else can. That's more true.
Yeah.
Book club. As regards the mother and her, somewhere in the book she says, she was complete without me, and I was incomplete without her. Now that one sentence made me think that the mother was far more complete bigger and more
On her mother
and she was incomplete without her. The mother was complete without.
You put question marks on something like this?
There's no question mark.
I'm asking you, would you no question?
No, that's why I said earlier, because when I read the book, which is I finished 10 minutes back, thanks to her, but I felt that the mother, I would have been very interested that if the mother had written an autobiography and juxtapose it against this book, and it would have been very interesting to see the mother's point of view and the context of their life.
I would be very curious about how Arundhati Roy, as a daughter, would have, disappointed or challenged or tortured her mother. I mean, I would be really curious that, the kind of hate that she gets from her mother had to be based probably on some of her actions. If, her mother got to tell, I mean, what could she have done as a kid that would have gotten so much hatred from her mother? I mean, that is something I would be curious about. So, even if she gets to tell her story, I'd be really, really curious about what would Arundhati Roy or her brother would have done to deserve what they got. Yeah. I mean, I understand she had a very, very difficult life as a young widow. Society would have been very, very harsh on her, including her own family. But then, to pass it down to the children, I think that's where maturity lies. We don't want to put our children through the experiences. We want to insulate them from the experiences that we are going through. So
there is a caveat here. Are you saying despite her mother, she became, Arundhati was successful, or because of her mother's encouragement and tough upbringing?
I think, not because, she, I think, emphasized on the right things for Arundhati. I think education and reading and writing and all of that, probably discipline also. So I think she did enable her in that sense, but she disabled her in many other ways. So, yes,
the children in the family are the product and the result, and their success is mostly perhaps due to their parents. And here Arundhati is successful and globally known because
your parents can support or sabotage you. So, and your bad parenting can never be an excuse for not doing what you're supposed to do. Bad parenting can never be an excuse for what you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So, you can you can have an excuse.
I really would think it would be worthwhile taking it up from her point of view, the mother's point of view, why she did what she did. That has.
You don't know that. That's
that would be something to be heard from.
I think Sunita have other people on the.
Yes.
Let them also.
Sanjay, would you like to? Sanjay, anybody else's iPhone 175, I think, who wanted to say something, or I don't know, I'm not sure, but anybody else who wants to speak? Sanjay, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Monali,
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So I read the book, I found it very interesting, and I liked the book very much. I think she's an exceptionally gifted writer, and her prose absolutely sparkles. And I mean, if I could write half a page like that, I would consider my life eternally blessed, to be honest. Okay, so I may not agree with the politics all the time, but nobody can deny that she's a writer of outstanding ability. That's one. The other thing that struck me was, of course, her courage, like all of you have mentioned. She was a very courageous person. And I was also struck by her emotional self-sufficiency, in the sense her ability to move on and not be shackled by personal relationships, shall we say. And I say that in a positive way, because it did give her the strength to close a chapter, turn the page, and move on to the next phase of her life. I think that's a remarkable ability. And all in all, I like the book very much, and it's a great book. In my view, it's an exceptional book.
Sadia, she's got her hands up.
No, that's not it. That's Monali, are you there?
Yes,
Just
am I
gone.
audible?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much, Sunita ma'am and Mohini ma'am, for that lovely presentation. It was complete in itself. There's hardly anything more to add, but there are certain some quick points I wanted to add. Number one, we rarely think of a parent as an erring parent. We are more oriented to think of them as our so Atiti Devo Bhava. So Matu Deva Bhava is also one of the things that is ingrained in us. But it is amazing that she could bypass that idea and even speak about her mother in so courageously. So that is one, probably because she did not follow a certain religion. So that is probably something I thought I should mention. Secondly, every child would have some grudge or the other against his or her parent, but not many have the courage to mention this so publicly. And this she did not just once, but many times through many of her writings. This is not
So,
the only one.
Monali, if I
And
may, most children would not have such huge grudges.
yes, that is also the thing, but they would have had different predicaments. So that is one. Secondly, this is probably one of the reasons why it made her so bold enough to not only fight for her own rights, stand up for her own rights, be vocal about it, and then eventually talk about the rights of other people, other communities, other issues that would call for such intellectual attention. So, first, it was a crusade against her mother. And even before that, it was a crusade against her own self, because many times, even in the book, you may have realized she is fighting and struggling against her own identity, her own other voice. There are times when she thinks that her mother is her savior. There are times when she thinks that the same mother is her tormentor. And this tormenting helps her to rebuild herself, to remold herself, and to find a voice that she would have otherwise not found out. So thank you so much for
Possibly. Thank you. Thank you, Monali. Yes,
Also,
Shweta.
the same thoughts. I think she has transcended her personal circumstances, which were not so favorable, and beyond her hurts, she has gone to support human rights. So that's
Yes.
to go out of your handicaps and then to support human causes.
I think Arundhati Roy is so incredibly brave. To leave home on your own. To be subject, I think, but she also got that courage because her mother neglected the kids. So,
Also,
gradually
she saw her mother showing that courage when she was young.
Also,
yeah.
yeah.
So I listened to the book. I listened to that. In fact, Arundhati Roy only narrated it. So I listened to that. So it was great. I mean, I liked the book. But again, as you all are saying that, why did she write that? I think it was a closure. Definitely she wanted to write for closure. And I also think that she's a more flamboyant person. So it did not hurt that it was out there and people were talking about her and she was again being feted or vilified. Either way, I think she's.
She loves the limelight.
She loves
She loves
that.
the limelight.
She loves the limelight. Also, I think that the fact that she got away from her mother and she made a success of her life is also because she was surrounded with very good people. If you notice, after she left her mother's house, she made some very good friends who lasted her entire life. So if she hadn't got there, who knows?
It would have been.
She had some support, not necessarily from a mother, another kind of support that most mothers would give, but she had support. Without any support, it's very difficult for her to be where she was. So you have to acknowledge that.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
I think the only reason Arundhati Roy, the writer, wrote this book only for one particular reason, that she's extremely selfish. She wanted another award.
No, I'm contradicting what you said. I see. Those are Mohini. I heard the words bravery and courage in expressing of feelings.
Yeah.
No, I said bravery.
A number of times.
In leaving home.
I'm saying that maybe they could be substituted also by the terms lack of tolerance, lack of compassion, right? So we are basing all our opinions about her and what she has written on a one-sided kind of narrative, right? If the mother was around, like somebody said, to defend herself, probably there would have been a completely different trajectory to this discussion.
Of course.
And
She's about saying.
she's getting so much, in my opinion, Arundhati is getting so much empathy from everyone around here because she's a celebrity. And of course, there is no question that she is a highly skilled, literary skills are great, etc. But the choice of the subject, like the Latika madam had asked, there are a million subjects to talk about. She says, I love my mother, and she writes such a caustic commentary about it. She needs not have written about it.
I have to say, she is at her best when she writes about things that are very, very close. Personal stuff. I thought God of Small Things was so fabulous. And this, again, is fab because it has come back to herself. The Ministry of Utmost Happiness, oof. I mean, it was so forced because people were after her. Next book, when's your next book? And she managed to put something together and put it out there. And because of her name, people even bought the bag. But this is where she's come back. So what she knows, what she feels,
the complexity of her thoughts and writing. Because otherwise, any other person who goes through experiences of this kind, but does not have the skill and the ability to analyze them the way she has done. But what do I get out of it? That's what I'm saying. A very well written book on a subject which so many people could write.
So many people could write. But she wrote it, and she wrote it beautifully. And it puts her back in the line.
That's the main thing.
And it earns her mega.
Yeah, that's what
No, I won't.
So this
also agree with this.
No, you won't.
This whole thing made such an impact on her. And as we say, we write personally only about that. It affects us. The language is beautiful.
I mean, why should we call question any raison d'etre for a book?
Yeah, exactly.
You want to read it, you don't want to read it.
I completely agree. Now, when she said, I will write another book and I have another book in me to write.
Exactly.
Yeah, that tells you everything.
This came after her mother's death. I think it was a sort of, putting everything together and, it was closure.
Okay. So shall we
But like many other human beings have experienced.
Of course.
Anyone out there would like to add anything? So we're ready to conclude, I think. Huh?
I feel that
Sunita?
Mary Roy's students must have been very heartbroken when it came out.
A lot of comments. This is not very continuing. Which is
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you have personas, you have people.
Yeah.
Students say,
You aspect.
that is entirely possible. So there are, I don't find that all at all.
Okay.
When it comes to abusive, there are models outside the house.
Oh, yes, yes.
And at home there are something else. Models, fathers outside the house and in the house. So
You know something, we'll conclude now. My father was a judge, and he got a case in which this daughter-in-law was saying that her mother-in-law had been very cruel, abusive, blah, blah. Now the lawyer for the other side said, how can she say this? Look at all the evidence I have brought. Such a good woman. Goes to the mandir every day. Loves her children so much, blah, blah. So my father's judgment said, she could be a good mother, a good sister, a good Hindu, maybe not a good mother-in-law.
exactly.
And the judgment went on for her against her. Now, there's so many letters of a priest, this is Madras, Chennai case, came to Delhi, huh? There's so many letters of appreciation that came to my father. And I would pick them up and bring them. I mean, piles of them. So a person has many aspects
Yeah.
and can be different.
And her public persona obviously was much important. So, to address his issue there, I mean, if Mary wrote a book, she would write about her career, she would write about the hurdles she overcame, she would not write about her personal life.
Exactly. Yeah. Everyone, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for participating. Thank you
you
for
all.
offering your
Thanks,
opinion.
thanks, Mohini. Thanks, Sunita.
Please remember.
Thank you, Mohini ma'am. Thank you, Sunita ma'am.
Thank you, Monali. Please remember you are so welcome to volunteer and make a presentation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you. Okay. Now Sanjay has said that he's going to do a travelogue kind of thing about Ireland.
Oh, how lovely. Yes.
We're looking forward to that. I forget what I can't. Wispy, what was it you said? I forget. But anyway, everyone, please come forth and speak.
Thank you.
See you next
Thank
time.
you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.